Former Vice President Mike Pence has testified before a federal grand jury investigating January 6th and his former boss's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
Sources tell CBS News he testified for more than 7 hours yesterday. Former President Trump pushed to stop the former vice president from testifying about their interactions in the days leading up to the Capitol riot. A federal appeals court denied that request Wednesday.
Joining us now is defense attorney and former prosecutor Vinoo Varghese. He's also a visiting faculty member at Harvard Law School's Trial Advocacy Workshop. Thanks for joining us. Vinoo, what do we know about what Pence was allowed to testify about related to January 6th, and what was off limits?
So just 2 days ago, the federal appeals court in D.C. ruled that he would have to testify. He had appealed a lower court ruling, a district court ruling that he tried to prevent, that he sought to prevent himself from testifying. The judge at the lower level agreed that he would not be able to talk about things related to what he was doing in the legislature as president of the Senate. However, he told him he'd still have to testify about Trump's criminal or activities or potential criminal activities related to January 6th. So in terms, the short answer, that's the long answer. The short answer is that anything else other than what he did as president of the Senate when he was vice president. So that could include a lot of stuff. He's talked about this in his book. He's had a lot of conversations about this, saying that Trump should have tried to overturn the election.
So what about the former president's perspective here, Vinoo? What was the legal reasoning behind Trump's efforts at blocking Pence's testimony?
So what they used was executive privilege. So that didn't work. So the Trump team wanted to, and Pence himself, wanted to prevent his total testimony. Because look, from a political point of view, Pence testifying against Trump is not necessarily the best look for him. But from a legal point of view, there wasn't anything preventing my former vice president, Mike Pence, talking about what happened on January 6th as he was the outgoing vice president. And certainly that's what Trump wanted to try to prevent him. On those grounds, Trump tried to prevent him from testifying.
But what could Pence testifying say about how near the grand jury is to wrapping up its work?
I mean, at this point, to be honest, it's speculation. We don't know. 7 hours is a long time for any witness to testify. I mean, that's extraordinary. And this whole thing is extraordinary, that there is a grand jury convened to look at potentially indicting a former president, for overturning, possibly on the grounds that he possibly tried to overturn an election. So all this is extraordinary. It's hard to say at this point when it will convene and what kind of charges, if any, and understand this, there may be no charges that come out of this. So we'll have to wait and see.
Extraordinary indeed. Vinoo Varghese. Vinoo, thank you very much.